Welcome everyone. Let us start. So I hope we got a few moments to gather ourselves. Ouch. Yeah. So I think we had stopped somewhere here.
I think it was 211. We
Yeah.
stopped on that is why it is said in the Upanishad.
Okay. Great.
Yeah, we
Thank you.
started. We have to start. Yeah.
Okay. So I think we can maybe take this overlap and then we can take a little further also. Yeah. So if anyone would like to read, please go ahead.
I'll read it. What is indispensable for our reason to function in the right way and in the best interest of our integral development is rectitude, mental integrity. But that is not an easy thing to achieve. It presupposes a considerable purification of the lower nature. Unless reason rises above the surges of desires and attachments, unless it becomes more or less impersonal, it cannot lead us far on our evolutionary march. I will just read that one more time. Unless reason rises above the surges of desires and attachments, unless it becomes more or less impersonal, it cannot lead us far on our evolutionary march. That is why it is said in the Upanishad that the soul cannot be released, that the soul cannot be realized by reason. A deliverer of our being from the obscure instincts of life, reason must grow mature enough to learn how to seek its own fulfillment in a spontaneous surrender to the higher light. I'll just finish that one more time. A deliverer of our being from the obscure instincts of life, reason must grow mature enough to learn how to seek its own fulfillment in a spontaneous surrender to the higher light. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. So anything here anyone wants to share?
Yes, please explain this little bit, Didi.
Which part you want me to explain?
Actually, the last line, but like the gist of like how can reason surrender to the higher light? Like the gist of it, like how to really practice this. I mean,
Hmm. Yeah. Would anyone want to share anything here?
I think a little of what is coming to me is, what we have been reading and where we have been arriving again and again is, I don't know, right? Like earlier on, It was like I know too much, and that gave me this conviction that, I am something. And yet, when you start actually seeing what's happening, and when how many I knows lead you to places where you never thought they could lead you, or when you start seeing the truth of and in things, you keep on arriving to this fact again and again that I don't know, because the reason, it uses a certain snapshot in time. It uses a limited number of things that, okay, this won't work because of one, two, three, four. And those are the four things that my mind can work on, my eyes can see, my ears can hear, if I am using all my tools. Still, there is a lot of limitations because I cannot see things from all the sides. So again, I think for that, this is a beautiful, I guess, light that, like, how obviously we are doing that reason is the helper, reason is the bar. That first we did that, how first reason is important for you to form a personality, and now to move from personality to an impersonality. That पहले मैं कुछ हूँ, and now I'm a सब कुछ हूँ. Like first to become something and then see that this something is everything. You have to give up that reason that yes, the world is telling me that, the society or my parents, whoever I consider my world to be, do this, do this, do this. And yet there is something inside me which says, I don't want to. There are things in front of which I have to stand against myself, and it's hard. It's not making any sense. And yet, what is making sense is not possible for you to do anymore, but unless you crush yourself. And there comes a time when you don't, I don't know, that crushing also becomes harder and harder and harder. So knowing that, this rectitude is righteousness, right? Like absolute correct what it would be. So what is indispensable for a reason to function right is that we have this righteousness, that I don't have a preference. It's not about my winning or losing. It's not about my failure or me becoming something. It's about doing the right thing no matter what. See, even, like if we talk about Kurukshetra, right, that so much killing had to happen. A brother had to kill a brother, which is considered like, oh my God, what are you saying? And yet, if that is what the right thing is, if that is what the dharam was, if that is what needed to be done, so be it. So again, we have to transcend a lot of reasons, and that's why I think a lot of mythological stories, we have certain pain points, if I may say, that why did Ram leave Sita? Why did Krishna say, why was Krishna a womanizer? Why did Krishna say fight? Because, I'm always using my limited mind and not seeing that bigger picture, because it had to be done. Because it's not about you and me. It's not about my wanting to say, okay, do it. So just this thing to see it again and again, that yes, this is the way. You have to and you must stand against your reasons too, once they have developed and you have achieved a certain state of, okay, I don't know, again, I don't know. And then it becomes impersonal, that it's not about me, it's bigger, it's bigger, it's bigger. And that, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Didi. This helps. One thing in this, I want to ask, the righteousness, like to do the right thing, is that coming from reason, or is that the stage after it, like when we have surrendered? When we are in the righteous, like
Yeah,
the
so
right.
it's again, there is no stage when we have surrendered. उसको तो अभी भूल जाते हैं. Moment by moment, if you see, moment by moment, in one little moment, when you have the possibility of making a choice, and we are making choices every moment. When we are not making choices, then also we are making a choice not to make a choice.
Yes. Yes.
right? So each moment, every moment, what Taru was sharing, if one can choose what is the most beneficial and what is right, rather than going by what little window the reason shows. So in that moment, we have to take care, because we don't know when the full surrender will happen, and when things will irrevocably change. But I know about this little
Yes.
moment. That is in your hand. That is in my hand. In the sense of making the right choice, choosing the higher
Yes.
rather than
Yes.
choosing what I would like.
Hmm.
तो वो हम उतना रखते हैं तो फिर सिंपल लगता है, फिर ऐसा
Sometimes,
लगता है कि हाँ, या प्लीज गो अहेड.
sometimes, like um, sometimes, one is like very righteous. Like I feel with my journey, like when I was growing up, I had this kind of a righteous nature that this is right and this is wrong and stuff. And as I grew up and I felt, yeah, I felt like I don't know, like, because I don't know the other person's journey. I don't know what they have been through. And I am judging from my limited mind. So, or even when I have to make a choice in that moment, when I think that I am being righteous and maybe this is the right choice, uh, I'm wondering, is that coming from reason? Because because I mean, would that be reason, right? When I'm saying okay,
What are you saying?
so
Okay.
uh, like I'm wondering, like when I say okay, from a righteous perspective, this is the right choice. So in
नहीं
that
उसमें
moment, but
हाँ
then I
उस
don't know what is surrender.
राइट
I'm
राइट.
wondering that because I'm feeling when I am being righteous, it's coming from reason maybe, and that's why it's difficult to make a choice, because if for everything reason will give you four things to do or not do, But I'm wondering, if I'm being righteous, it's coming from reason. Then what is surrender? I mean, how does surrender feel like? And
See, we are all
in that
surrendered to our
moment,
thoughts. We are all surrendered to what we think. So you know what surrender feels like. Think about it. All of us are fully surrendered to what we are all the time thinking, judging, perceiving, and we take it to be true. That's surrender. No, so we are surrendered. It's just that we have to change the direction of our surrender, knowing that that's very limited what I am surrendered to. We are surrendered to a wrong place. We have to turn that surrender to a right place. Yeah? So you know what surrender feels like.
thank you, thank you.
Yes. So what I think should the yeah yeah uh, yeah, I think these definitions really confuse, because everyone would have a different definition of morality, righteousness. But if we go by the crux of what we just read, just going over it again, what is indispensable for our reason to function in the right way, कि वो किसी की sides ना ले, it should not be biased, it should be as pure as possible, wanting to be even purer, wanting to be even without more biases. So, what is indispensable for our reason to function in the right way and in the best interest of our integral development is rectitude, mental integrity. So, there is a relative purity in perception. But that is not an easy thing to achieve. So, this purity is not an easy thing to achieve. Trying to do the best possible in every situation, it is not easy to achieve. Why? Because often the best is not according to my liking. तब क्या करेंगे? तब तो फंस गए. So then the bias comes in between, that हाँ होगा best, जो भी कुछ होगा please, but इसको थोड़ा सा just अंदर कर लो, जैसे हाउ थिंग्स हैपन इन स्ट्रक्चर्स, लाइक गवर्नमेंट स्ट्रक्चर्स, यहाँ बेस्ट होगा जो भी होगा, बट क्योंकि ये मेरा भाई है, भतीजा है, सो अंदर ले लो इसको, है ना, सो समथिंग लाइक दैट. So that's why, but that is not an easy thing to achieve. This purity and trying to do the best possible in each situation is not an easy thing to achieve, because we are all the time with our biases of which we are ourselves not aware. मेरा भाई, मेरा पापा, मेरा मम्मी, हॉस्पिटल भी जा रहे हैं तो उसमें भी we see that such a big bias is there कि अच्छा अगर 2 बेड बचे हैं लास्ट, है ना, तो मेरे भाई बंधु को मिलना चाहिए वो बेड और किसी को ना मिले. So we are hardly able to achieve that purity. So, but that is not an easy thing to achieve. It presupposes a considerable purification of the lower nature. So to be, अब देखो ना, मर्यादा पुरुषोत्तम राम, है ना, वहां पे हमको ये दिखता है, जो ये रेक्टिट्यूड और मेंटल इंटेग्रिटी की बात कर रहे हैं ना, है ना, यहाँ वहां पे वो दिखता है कि अच्छा पहले वो बोल दिया कि 14 साल के लिए वनवास, हाँ, और बाद में दे आर रिपेंटिंग कि भैया क्या बोल दिया, गलती हो गई, प्लीज मत जा, प्लीज मत जा. तो वो बोल रहे कि नहीं, अब तो आपने बोला भी, अब तो जाना बनता है ना, आपका वचन निकला आपके मुंह से, और डजंट मैटर. So that is the height of this rectitude, righteousness, or this integrity that we were talking about. प्राण जाए पर वचन ना जाए. That has its proper place, but again, things don't end there. That shows us a place for this thing, that it is much better than animal instinct and कि अरे कुछ तो इंटेग्रिटी है, 10 बजे बोला तो 10 बजे उठो तो सही, है ना, 10 बजे बोल दिया और बंदा 11 बजे तक वेट कर रहा है. So this is integrity. But then we have to go further, we have to transcend. So if a Krishna is there, then he can be naughty, he knows that these are not the limitations that one has to follow. There are other things in perspective. Yataru, you want to add on something?
No, I liked your comment about getting up because I've been struggling with that, and. But again, it amazes me that how with a limited mind, it is a limit. I think because we don't think it's a limited mind. There are songs like कि कृष्ण करे तो रास लीला है, मैं करूँ तो character ढीला है. Like this is where we go and we resonate with that. That yes. Why did he had to listen to that Mali, Mochi, Dhobi? Why did he had to listen? Could he not use his own judgment, his own reasoning? So there are so many places when one needs to be actually just silent, right? And we don't know. Like again, like what you example you gave about the knife, right? That I have a good knife, but I'm using it everywhere. And there are things which are beyond my comprehension, and to just realize that this is not my place is pretty, I mean, it's very wise to know when to say, when not to say, when to think, when say, I don't need to, I mean, there's no end to these thinkings, right? कि पता है वहां पे क्या चल रहा है, पता है उधर क्या हो रहा है, पता है, मतलब पता तो बहुत है, बट यहाँ क्या हो रहा है वो कुछ नहीं पता. Like again, it's very, we are strange, like we are just.
Yeah. And also, these things, these, not only the lives of these big, like avatars and Sri Ram or Sri Krishna, not only these lives we can hardly comment upon and say that मुझे समझ में आ गया, but even our own lives, what you were sharing, there are so many layers to our lives that it's very hard to just define it in one definition, है ना. तो अब उस समय जब राम जी या सीता जी अंदर जा रही हैं, अंदर अर्थ के अंदर चली गई, so one perspective says that that is how it should have happened, because that shows the integrity of सीता जी, and कि भैया उनको किसी की जरूरत नहीं है, वो अपने में बिल्कुल, she is complete in herself, she is not waiting for some man to come and take care of her. So women empowerment, so एक layer वो भी कहती है. So there are so many layers, because since we don't know the larger picture, that अच्छा यही है कि सुन के जितना अंदर जाए श्रवण मनन करके जो हमारे लिए है वो हमको मिलेगा, एंड बाकी चीज़ों पे कमेंट ना ही किया जाए तो बेटर है, because all our comments are so limited and so really even about our own lives, our comments are so like they don't mean anything, our comments and our opinions about things in our life, and they keep on changing. If we see something, over a period of time about the same thing, my comment will keep on changing. पहले बोलेंगे अच्छा वो बड़ा अच्छा हुआ, फिर बोलेंगे अच्छा नहीं ये तो ठीक नहीं लग रहा. So it keeps on, like, I have 2 kids, and at one point of time I did not even want to have one. फिर लगा कि अच्छा 2 हो गए, ओ माय गॉड, ओ माय गॉड, एंड देन नाउ इट फील्स दैट अच्छा 2 है, अब कितना अच्छा है, आपस में खेलते रहते हैं, ज्यादा इंटरफेरेंस की जरूरत नहीं. अब दिस विल ऑल्सो चेंज. व्हाट गॉड नोज व्हाट आई विल सी लेटर, एंड what comments may come up. So not to give that much of importance to our comments, all the very wise commentary going on in the head. And then we can put all this energy, as you said, that there is no end to this going on and on chatter. So then all that energy can be put at really the action oriented place where we can do something. All of us have abilities of this and that sort, so to put it into action, to do something which we can offer at the divine feet, mother doing it for you, something bigger than us. Then we can put all that energy, which is now not consumed in all this chatter and trying to connect the dots. They can leave, they can remain entangled, and they can lie unconnected, all the dots. And even then, I'm fine when putting the energies at the right place. So, yeah.
And the term is rectitude, mental integrity, right?
Mm.
Like holistic thing. Like it's not just like undivided, right? The integrity, like if you look
Yes.
into
Yes.
it. So again, like I think Shilpa comment about how we confuse morality,
Mm.
right? Ethics. This is right, this is wrong from the worldly terms, and their mother has spoken about divine law. Right? Meera being an excellent example, right? She was breaking so many norms, and yet she knew that was right. So there comes a time when we have to stretch our own definitions of morality. It would feel uncomfortable, but believing it still would feel torturous. So we have to choose whether I choose discomfort and grow, or do I just comply and, you know, suffocate? So that's also a
Yeah.
quite interesting space one finds oneself in.
Yeah, and that's why he's saying that mental integrity, it's not a very easy place to achieve, because in our mind also we are so divided all the time, so divided. As mother says, contradictory wills about everything. मतलब ये नहीं है कि अच्छा एक जैसे the very nice thing that we see in Savitri, that once I have chosen, that's it. हमारा तो चॉइस में ही कंफ्यूजन रहता है, अच्छा ये चूज तो कर लिया बट क्या ये सही चॉइस? Every time we are so confused all the time. Yeah, so even that point, mental integrity, not being divided. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure how relevant this is going to be with regards to the topic at hand, but until I was 14 years old, I would go to a temple like I would go to a grocery store with my mom. How do we go to the grocery store? We make a list and we go and buy that stuff. And in the same way, I would make a list inside my head, and I would go and say, "Give me that, give me this. Chemistry pass करवा दो मेरा." क्योंकि chemistry was my toughest subject. I couldn't understand. So साईं बाबा के मंदिर जाके भगवान प्लीज केमिस्ट्री प्लीज कल एग्जाम केमिस्ट्री पास करवा दो. And it kept on going like that. And after that, my I once read about mother that in Tamil Nadu, there was a disciple who went and kneeled in front of mother and she started talking in Tamil. And someone asked mother, how do you understand that language that um, you are you are able to help her out? And mother said that I feel her. I don't need to understand her language. So, until then, no, I would go to the temple. I'll just sit. Even recently, also, I went to Vithal Mandir here, yeah, nearby, and I was sitting and looking at Ram, Sita, Krishna, Radha, and I was thinking, okay, should I talk to them in Hindi, or will they understand Telugu, or should I? Maybe they'll understand Sanskrit, but maybe yeah, Hindi is better. And all these things, like Taru ma'am was saying, the limited reasoning in my head, that this is मैं करूँ तो this Krishna ji करे तो लीला है. So my limited mind, how cocooned it makes me feel within my own thoughts, it doesn't let me out of that. It feels like it's almost illegal to come out of it and do something that has not been done before or not have been said before. So reading through that, I felt that like how important is it to not give these reasons a chance to think, and even to think about, not like you said, even to think about not thinking um, of what chance to give. Yeah, like like I can only imagine the amount of quietness that must be within me to even say this, because right now when I say this, I'm still thinking about it. So yeah, that was beautiful. Just wanted to share that.
So, mental integrity being single pointed, it presupposes a considerable purification of lower nature. Unless reason rises above the surges of desires and attachments, unless it becomes more or less impersonal, it cannot lead us far on our evolutionary journey. So, means that it has to be uplifted above the surges of desire, above attachments, and becoming impersonal. It is possible. And that is why it is said in the Upanishad that the soul cannot be realized by reason. A deliverer of our being from the obscure instincts of life. So, reason acts as a deliverer which delivers us, which frees us, liberates us from our animal instincts. As Sri Aurobindo says, first we are animal man. We are living like animal, reproducing, eating, sleeping, making shelters, all that an animal does. What are we doing all the time? Hunting, gathering food. Now we don't have to hunt, but we are still gathering food all the time. Consuming, eliminating, reproducing, rearing kids, having shelter, protecting ourselves. So that is animal man. So from animal man, we become man, and man means mental being. So the reason must be purified and takes the highest seat. And then from there, the divine man is possible, the life divine is possible. But being at the level of animal man, we cannot all for a, it won't happen just like a magic. We have to put effort. So that is why it is said in the Upanishad that the soul cannot be realized by reason, a deliverer of our being from the obscure instincts of life. This is the right place of reason. Reason must grow mature enough to learn how to seek its own fulfillment in a spontaneous surrender to the higher life. So when we raise it high, and it becomes the master of the being, so it is like a regulator. It is able to regulate the vital impulses, the animal instincts. Then, and also as we read earlier, transcending the surges of desires, becoming purified in itself. And then it realizes that abhi bhi pura nahi hua. Abhi bhi pura nahi hua. Even now, I don't feel content. Yes, there is a remarkable degree of purification. Yes, there is a remarkable degree of evolution. But that fulfillment and contentment can be only gotten when it surrenders to a higher light. We will read, I think later it will come reason and intuition. So making the mind absolutely quiet, so that the mind becomes like a receptacle to the higher knowledge, higher light. So to that, and why will the mind become quiet? See here, we see the how it progresses. My mind cannot become quiet if I still continue to believe in my limited thoughts, commentaries, and opinions about everything. You would see that the more unsure I become of my own opinions, my own thoughts, all the commentary that is there about the outer situations, the more unsure I become, the easier it is to quieten the mind. Then I would not be engaging in the commentary that is going on. And then there is a stillness that comes. And in that stillness, one raises itself to intuition and the higher levels. So slowly, we become more and more unsure of our limited understandings. That is how the mind becomes quiet. Otherwise, quietness is not possible, because that the moment a thought comes, an opinion comes, you will begin to engage in it, again begin to reason it. But now futile, keep it aside. Then silence can come, then stillness can come, which is a necessity if the mind has to open itself to the higher consciousness, something which is beyond reason. And there, reason finds its fulfillment.
This fulfillment of reason. I think the fulfillment is that, okay, I don't get it and I get it, or I agree, or I accept is the check, and then it gets settled because that's how we have been used to settling it. And yet, being unsettled and not knowing is also a very big settlement in, okay, I don't know, and yet I know, I don't know what it is, and yet I know it's not this. Like, reason is saying, okay, this needs to be done. And yet, if the being is feeling constricted in doing it, then just, this state where it is like, I know logically this sounds good. And yet, when I know I am not resonating with it, so the reason can rest. I don't need to use this tool here because I have a greater connection. I mean, not greater, but I'm sensing this is not all right. This state that it's not reasonable and yet I'm moving ahead because I just feel that this is right is really, I think it's shows you a different dimension then, that okay, beyond my even okay with the reasons, beyond the reasons that I think are the absolute must, that must follow these criteria because I am an ethical, righteous, moral person. And then to move there takes some loads of your baggages off your shoulders.
Yeah, anything more here before we march ahead?
Yes, I really resonate with this we were talking. Like recently, I felt like I have been searching to quiet the mind, like use a technique of meditation and so on, and I realized that really the mind won't be silent until we silence will come itself and does come itself when yeah when we rely in something higher and we really don't expect our thoughts to give us anything of real value. Like when this happens, then silence will come, and unless we are not in that place where, while we are still wanting to have something from our thoughts and so on, the mind won't be able to. We are not going to be able to reach that silence.
Yeah, yeah. I think this is what we call shattering of our egos, in one sense. That all that we held so precious in our minds, all that we now do not trust anymore. It doesn't hold any promise for us. And then, as you said, then it is possible to silence the mind. Even now, the mechanical mind will persist in the background. The physical mind, it goes on like a chatter, momentum is going on. But lesser and lesser, to a lesser and lesser degree, you buy into it. Like it's just a background noise that is there, but you are not buying into it. It doesn't hold any promise for you, as you said. And this silence is one of the basic necessities in the path of integral yoga. If the mind is to open to something higher than itself, one of the necessities. Because as long as I'm very content with my own thoughts, then what's the point? I mean, my cup is full. My cup is full of my thoughts, my opinions, I know. But when we continue to empty it and continue to empty it and keep it empty and keep it empty, then something sees that, oh, here is the space. Like, how, yeah, this is very beautiful. How from a high pressure area, the air rushes into the low pressure region, where this like a crater is there, and the air rushes into that. So it's almost like that if we maintain that a crater like silence in the mind, then higher has to rush into that, because we are and parallelly there also is a rejection of all which is not worthy of that space. So what is worthy of that space will sooner or later descend and dawn. We can take a little bit more. Yeah, this paragraph we can take if anyone wants to read.
There is another disabling limitation under which reason labors. It proceeds by division and analysis, as we have already seen, for it inherits the basic function of the mind, which is to divide, to separate, to analyze into parts. It cannot deal with an undivided whole. When it synthesizes, it does nothing better than putting the discrete parts together, agglomerating or assembling the diverse elements into a whole. But it often finds, to its surprise, that its synthesis around with discrepant elements and anomalies. Then it eliminates what it cannot harmonize and retains only those elements that agree with its preconceptions and cherished conclusions. When it deals with the ideas and view of other minds, Its personal preferences and incapacity to reconcile apparently conflicting elements vitiates all its judgment. In philosophy, its defects show conspicuously. It erects admirable fabrics of thought, trim, logic, and symmetrical, but founded on uncertain postulates derived from the sense data and expanded and buttressed by inference and speculation. That is about the high water's mark of its achievement. It can catch some broken reflections of truth, but not truth itself. Its theories are feats of intellectual speculation, but they do not lead human consciousness beyond the confines of the mind. They do not open doors upon infinity and eternity. They do not make us experience and live reality.
This is how we live. We, this is, ये दो मेरे friends हैं, because they agree to what I say. And those five people, totally, I don't want to go there because they always are criticizing, whatever I'm saying. So we make categories in our mind all the time, all the time. Some of us may not even admit it. So consciously, we are not making these categories, but unconsciously, because it goes on unchecked, the categories are being made, and I don't even realize, because there is unconsciousness, I don't even realize my actions are based on those categories. My decisions are based on those categories. ये मेरे भाई बंधु और वो जो नहीं मेरे भाई बंधु. So just a very common example of how we live. We can't live just not making any image at all. It seems like impossibility. And people who begin to live like that, those are actually taken as mad people. That, are you mad? It's your family. So it seems like abnormal when you see something as a whole and not divided into family and not family, blood relation and not blood relation. Seems maddening. So this is another disabling limitation. Disabling, it disables, under which reason labors. It proceeds by division and analysis. This is the way of how it works. It is the methodology में ही defect आ गया ना. Although it has its proper place, we read it earlier, where is the proper place. But the methodology is itself very limited. ये सही है, ये गलत है. Talking of morality. ये ऊंचा, ये नीचा. So it proceeds by division and analysis, and past, present, future. Who is dividing all that? All the time, the reason is the one, ये मेरा past था, अच्छा ये मेरा present है, ये मेरा future होगा. Again, this division, time में तो कोई division नहीं दिखता. Time is whole. But I make categories, I make divisions. And even when we talk about day and night, actually, we try to make our life a little kind of organized. So we name it, oh, day, and this is night. And that also is a creation of my own. नेचर ने थोड़ा ना बोला ये डे है और ये नाइट है. नाम तो मैंने ही दिया उसको, फॉर माई ओन सहूलियत, फॉर माई ओन कंफर्ट. दैट ओके, so that there is a same standard throughout the globe on which we can bank upon. That everywhere, in every culture, wherever you go, day will be day and night will be night. So there is like a same standard that I am making, so with that we don't confuse each other. So this is for our own comfort and convenience that we make these labels, we give these labels. So it proceeds by division and analysis, as we have already seen, for it inherits the basic function of the mind, which is to divide. Now this division is very helpful when we are doing the sorting of homes. So we know, okay, this is the place for utensils and this is the place for toys. Very good sorting and organizing thing that we have. And mother says that mind is good for sorting and organizing, but it's not an instrument of knowledge. So we use it at a wrong place, a wrong tool used as at a wrong place. That becomes a trouble for us. So it is not for understanding things the way we try to understand all the time, connecting dots in our head. No, it's for sorting and organizing. अच्छा इसकी ये जगह है, उसकी वो जगह है. अच्छा मेरी टेबल, ये बुक्स यहाँ पे रखूं, पेंसिल यहाँ पे रखूं, पेन यहाँ पे रखूं. So for that it is very good. So that's why we feel so neat and tidy and organized even when we are organizing our houses a little, feels like a neatness there. So this function, basic function of the mind is to divide, to separate, to analyze into parts. For that it is really good. It cannot deal with an undivided whole. How can it deal with infinity then? How can it deal with divine, which is an undivided whole? It can't go there. And there also, as Jagan was sharing earlier, that अब ये कौन सी लैंग्वेज समझेंगे, हिंदी समझेंगे या इंग्लिश समझेंगे, वहाँ पे भी वो चल रहा है, कैटेगरीज चल रही है. When it synthesizes, it does nothing better than putting the, so what is the synthesis of the mind? It's like there are like 10 different varieties of things, and what is my synthesis? I bring them all on one table. See, I'm trying to create a synthesis. So he says it does nothing better than putting the discrete parts together, सबको एक साथ इकट्ठा करके एक टोकरी में डाल दिया, agglomerating or assembling the diverse elements into a whole. But अब होता क्या है, प्रॉब्लम क्या है? But it often finds to its surprise that its synthesis abound with discrepant elements and anomalies. So what happens? My place, I have a home. I bring 10 different people of different varieties in my home. I'm trying to synthesize, I'm trying to bring harmony in my life. I want to live in a oneness. But very soon I realize that, oh, these two resonate and those 5 don't resonate with me. So discrepant elements. Now those I will have to delete. Bhaiya tum niklo samne se. Because harmony, it's creating disharmony. So this is how I try to create harmony. And that's not what is true harmony. And true harmony we can't get in touch with. And Mother talks about true harmony. Sri Aurobindo talks that unless we live in the supramental truth consciousness, we can't know true harmony. So harmony for us is a compromise. So वो भी चुप रहते हैं, मैं भी चुप रहती हूँ. This is harmony. सबको अपनी, everyone, see, he does this work, I do this work, and I don't interfere in his work. He doesn't interfere in my work. This is our harmony. The moment the interference starts, disharmony. So this is where we live. Try to create harmony. And Mother says that in true consciousness, in true spiritual consciousness, each place, actually it's not like everyone is one. No. She says each place has, each thing, each person has its right place. Like we talk about pieces of a big, vast puzzle. Every piece is different. Every piece has a proper place. That's true harmony. And if I do not live from true consciousness, how would I know which is my place? And we try to fit ourselves in the wrong places all the times. And that's why we suffer. When we are trying to fit the wrong pieces of puzzle at a wrong place, what happens? It breaks. Either the piece breaks or we create a bigger hole which should not be there because we are trying to fit in. Or the leg breaks of the puzzle piece. Something will break. This is what we do to us all the time. So that's true harmony in true consciousness, truth consciousness. Yeah, anything here until here? what we just read. Yeah, this one. See, this is my harmony. Then it eliminates what it cannot harmonize and retains only those elements that agree with its preconception and cherished conclusions. This is our harmony.
I find that this habit of um, dividing and deciding what is right and what, I think that is I've not realized, but that is one uh, big factor that stalls my progress, because I already built these notions in my head that this guy doesn't know, this guy knows, this person knows, this person doesn't know. Why should I listen to him? He I've already made up something based on one of his many actions. I've made an image of this person and I'm not listening. Like I yeah, it's a little personal. Um, I've never listened to my father until I turned 18, or until I turned 20, no, not 18, 21. I always thought like, no, it just didn't go inside my head. I listened, it was stored somewhere in my head, but it never went, I never resonated with it. I said, I don't know, like the things he says, yeah. But what happened is, after so many years, now I'm a little quieter than I used to be, and these thoughts come back. The things that he said, I remember them, and they are so right, and they are so powerful. Those are the tools I could use in my life, and I would say that, why didn't you listen to him, and why didn't you, you know, action his words back when he said that? Why suffer for these many years? And now I see the answer. So yeah, I will. There is a progress in this practice. So I will that and practice. I will. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, beautiful, beautiful. I think everything has its proper place. And I was sharing the other day, mother made a note to someone. She says, for the God or the divine, man is too slow to respond. For man, God doesn't listen, God is too slow to respond. But in the truth consciousness, everything is as it ought to be. Exactly like in Sri Aurobindo Savitri, he shares, there is nothing by chance. This universe was not made by bricks of chance. A blind God is not destiny's architect. So हमको लगता है अरे मुझसे गलती हो गई, बट हमें नहीं पता कि उस गलती की भी एक जगह है. वाह, क्या डिजाइन बनाया, मतलब अमेजिंग. Our errors are his steps on the way. वहां पे भी नहीं छोड़ा. सच, we are so like in the lap all the time. All the time, our sins, our errors, our stumblings, this world is perfected by our stumblings. कुछ भी नहीं छोड़ा जिसका हम यूज ना कर पाए. एवरीथिंग दैट वी मे कंसिडर, अरे ये क्या कर दिया, ये तो बड़ा बेकार था. नहीं, वो हमारे लिए बेकार था, बट उस बेकार का भी उस महान ने यूज कर लिया. So everything, and that is the certitude that mother talks of in prayers and meditations. That where do I rest? I rest in this certitude that yes, your victory is certain. Whether I am slow, whether I am fast, not in this lifetime, not in 100 lifetimes. Hanji. Yes, please.
So,
Yeah.
ma'am, when you say this, let's say tomorrow or today, I meet this person that I've made an image of already. इसको क्या पता? And he's telling me something that I can, reflect upon. Right or wrong, that will come in later, but at least I can listen and I can analyze. So at that point, it's a question that at that point, should I just keep a quiet mind and like shut off my reason and just listen to what he says? Because otherwise I'm not listening.
The question is, can you do that? You think that it's in your hands when you ask, should I just shut up and listen? The question is, can you do that? Do you have the power to do that? उसके लिए तो सेल्फ मास्टरी चाहिए ना. हम क्वेश्चन तो ऐसे कर रहे हैं कि भाई हमारे पास देखो, या तो मैं साइलेंस माइंड से सुन लूंगा या मैं चैटरी माइंड से सुन लूंगा, बट हमारे पास तो ऑप्शन ही नहीं है भैया. What
So
option
the
do you have?
answer is right, but needs practice by self-mastery, right?
See, you don't have any option right now. And if there is an option, then you will be able to use it. I don't know. I'm just like exploring it. That's what we are going towards. We are going towards self mastery. अब उसमें क्या है, उसमें वो हो सकता है जो आप बता रहे हो कि अच्छा ये बंदा है, ये मेरे सामने, ऑल्दो मेरे दिमाग में जजमेंट्स हैं इस बंदे को लेकर, बट लेट मी लिसन विद अ साइलेंट unbiased mind. I am asking, can we do that? Do we have the power to do that right now? If we have, then you have a choice. Otherwise, you don't have a choice.
Thank you.
This would be, I think, one step closer to what we were reading earlier, a purification of reason. So I know I'm conscious of my biases. And like इनकी टोकरी भरी और वो टोकरी भर के अभी साइड पे रख दी. This is already a self mastery, step in self mastery. Because usually तो ये टोकरी रूल कर रही होती है, but now I see this टोकरी. I am aware that this is there, and for a moment I keep it aside and I listen with a silent mind. See how much self mastery already is there. Totally unbiased. Not ऐसा नहीं है कि still I hold them, cherish what is there in the टोकरी, and yet I am saying नहीं नहीं मैंने तो silent होकर सुना था लेकिन उसने कुछ वर्थ बोला ही नहीं. So this is my dishonesty, this is impurity. But only I would know whether there is purity or not purity. And if there is purity, actually you would see everywhere, wherever you go, whoever you listen to, you find something of importance everywhere. That's where all life becomes yoga. Everywhere. आपका दुश्मन भी कुछ बोल रहा हो, आपको वहां से भी अगर ये ओपननेस है ना, आपको वहां से भी कुछ ना कुछ मिल जाएगा. Then we begin to see divine everywhere when this openness is there. That हाँ biases है, but I am not going to listen to my biases. Let me have an open mind. An open mind, wide mind, vast mind is again a necessity on the path of integral living, not a closed, suffocated mind. Savitri में एक line है, rotten air, something like how we live. It's like a rotten air keeps on circulating in our minds, and we are so used to that. So we have to change the taste for fresher air. That wherever we listen anything, something resonates everywhere. So that's fresh air everywhere. Yeah, so my suggestion is there is some commotion at my end. My suggestion is that we'll just maybe take rest of it next time. So this much we have done. Page number 212 I see below here. The first half we have taken. So the next half we can take later. So any last comments here, anyone? Okay, so maybe we can take a moment of silence here. Okay, yes, that rotten air thing. Yes, I will share. Yes. I am not exactly remembering, but there was something like this bad air that we are used to. We'll get it. Yeah, so just taking a last moment before we leave, sharing, dedicating the merit for of collective reflection, clarity, understanding, unknowing, sharing it with all the sentient beings. May our hearts be full, content, may we have lots of joy and progress in our life. Thank you, everyone.